Perfect. So just to give you a first intro of what we are going to see together. Um, so the idea for me is to try to answer some key questions. First, how TalentLayer works. It will help for you to have like maybe a bit of context and really talk together about the main modules and everything and how it works behind the scenes. Like that, then I think it will be easier to understand how you integrate and with what do you communicate. Yep. And then we can see what kind of things we can build with that. So with the kernel of TalentLayer and all the extra features that we developed. And then basically just go through the code, how you can start building, how you can start using the Indie, and how you can find maybe code example through what we did, the documentation and everything. And also to give you also some information on the future. Like, so we have a development roadmap, so we have new feature incoming. And so always interesting to have your feedback if some of them is interesting for you. Yeah, and like I said, we will finish just with some extra question, ask me anything things to finish. So first, whoops. So is it enough big? Just, I'm not sure about it. Is it
Yes,
readable?
Okay, cool. Can you zoom in a little bit on the picture? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, maybe like that's cool. So yeah, the idea is to start with the architecture. So we are now deployed on Polygon. So on mainnet, we also have a version of the protocol deployed in Mumbai. That's the way you can test and start implementing easily. So we develop the protocol. So it's the core, the kernel of TalentLayer. The protocol come with 6 main modules. The first one is the user identity. So for the profile of a worker or an hire. The second one is for the marketplace configuration. So where you will configure your fee, your dispute resolution strategy, and everything like that. The service agreements, where all the workflow of a job creation, proposal system happened. This one is really linked, of course, with the escrow, which is separate from that to handle all the money in the contract and the dispute resolution that can happen in case of a problem. And at the end of the workflow, you will have also the review module where the actor of the jobs can review each other. So this was just quickly to give you like the big picture of the module. Now we're going to see more how just the data workflow worked inside TalentLayer. So, all these contracts are, of course, on blockchain. Every time something happened on blockchain, we triggered events from the smart contract. And so what we are doing, which is really important to make it really simple to integrate, it's the indexer layer. So it's where we're going to aggregate all the data that happened on TalentLayer. So we are using the graph as backend. So like that, it's a decentralized database, we can say. And that is interesting with the integration of the graph that we made, is that you will have in this database all the data that are stored on chain. So the most important things like the profile ID, the handle chosen by the user, the amount chosen for a transaction. So this key value like that. But you will also have all the off-chain data. So here it will be all the description of a user, description of the jobs, the skills linked to that, the detail of the review. So you probably know, but we can't store this kind of large text on a blockchain because it will be it will have a too much cost. So we are storing that part on IPFS, and then we are sending the IPFS ID to the contract, and the contract just need to store this IPFS ID, and like that on every events. The indexer can get the data from the events and then get the data from the off-chain IPFS with this ID. So you will get here all our main entities and data easily. We will see then a bit later, how you can see all the entities, all the schema of them, how you can query and how it works exactly. So of course, the idea on top of that is to build most of time marketplaces. The better way to start doing that is using Indie, of course, because you got everything already ready to be to start it. You got all the code that integrates this layer, this indexer query, and so at the end, how it works technically, it's just an endpoint, just an API, but you can query like any other API, and you can then ask all the data that you want, basically. And this second part, of course, is writing. So writing, when you want to write on chain, you would need first to connect to a contract. So that works with integrating the library ethers.js, for example. And with that, you're going to say, I want to contact the contract TalentLayer ID. We give you all the ABIs of the contract. So the ABI is the JSON that describe all the methods that you can use and everything. And then if you set up the good address, you can start sending transaction on chain. Yeah. So yeah, now let's start talking a bit more about the different module. Like, the idea of the whole protocol is to be interoperable. So the idea also is to have cross-platform transaction, or to be able to do cross-platform transaction. Like that's for that you can have someone on platform A posting a job, someone on platform B seeing this job and apply for it. And then we got also tools like messaging, like that the two people can chat together. The messaging parts use also Web3 technology, so it's all decentralized and everything. And of course, also the dispute, the transaction, everything can be decentralized and cross-platform. So now we're gonna focus step by step on each contract, but just before starting that, do you have any first question globally on how it works, the different maybe module, or how at least the data workflow work?
Yes, I have one question.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, thank you. Will we have maybe like Lens did SDK to interact with the graph database?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, in the Lens documentation, you have two ways to get the data. You can directly query the graph, or you can use the SDK. So for now, we got only the first solution, but it's in the roadmap to have an SDK that make it even more simple using like React hook and everything you can have quickly. So yeah, that's the plan, to have the SDK.
Okay, thanks.
Any other question? All good?
It's okay for me.
Cool. So yeah, now we can have a big deep into marketplace configuration. So that's the first important smart contract. So we got schema and documentation for every of the smart contract, where you can see all the on-chain and off-chain data. Like I said, on-chain, we store only the most important things, on almost things where we need to do some calculation or some configuration. So on your platform, you can say you, of course, have an ID. So this is also a soulbound NFT. The configuration is linked to this ID and to you. And here you got several setups for the fees. So you can define how much you want to take as fees for a transaction. And you have two different kind of things on a transaction. You can be the marketplace that give the jobs, or you can be the marketplace that give the talents. So you got two different fees like that. Of course, if the transaction happen only on your platform, you addition both of these fees. You can have fees for service posting and proposal posting, and you can have here all the configuration for arbitration. So arbitration is for dispute resolution. So you got for now one strategy that are available on Polygon, which is a strategy where you as the marketplace handle the arbitration in case of a dispute. So you will have like in Claro system, every evidence document to take the decisions, and you can apply a fees on that because of course it takes you some time. And so like you see here, we got on-chain the data URI, so the CID of the off-chain data. And on the off-chain data, we are storing just simple things for now for the platform, which is like descriptions, the website link, and a logo. So the marketplace smart contract is like the first thing you need to start developing on testnet, because you will need a platform ID. This platform ID will be used then when you create a service or create a proposal. It will attach the platform link to the service, and that's then how we know that we can the way we have to calculate the fees and send it back to the good platform. So then the TalentLayer ID. So it's also soulbound NFT, but the difference here is that if the user don't have any activity yet with his TalentLayer ID, with his profile, he can still trade it, so transfer it. In that way, it helps having a more active secondary market, I think. And then just if you create one service or one proposal, your TalentLayer ID profile is now a soulbound. So that's what we call the activity, having one service or one proposal. And so when a profile is minting, it's linked to a platform. So it's more of an information to know which platform onboard the user. It's just interesting, I think, in the long term or medium term for the network to see where the user come from originally, and to see, all his activity behind it. And of course, off-chain, we got a lot of metadata. The idea here is to continue working on this off-chain part, because I think all marketplace will have different needs of what do they want as in the profile of a user. And the idea of TalentLayer is to talk with every marketplace, try to find a consensus of what is the needs of everybody, and define like a standard that can be easy implement for everyone. And like that, it's way more interoperable and way more complete on the off-chain data part. Just for these two identity first contract, any question so far?
I got one question. So if you can bring the slide with the profile, the off-chain data, where is that being stored? Is that by the platform you use, or is it by the user themselves?
So this part is stored on IPFS. So what happened is that when a user edit his profile, we create a JSON with all of this data, and we send it to IPFS. Then IPFS send us back an identifier of this file on IPFS, and we store it in the contract. It's what we call data URI. And then the indexer, so the graph, will be then responsible to read again this information and store it directly in the graph. Like that, it makes the data way more easier to query because querying the IPFS directly can be really slow, and you can do like search inside that and everything. So that's why there is the indexer is really important because it can give you the possibility to query all the jobs on a different on a specific topic or something like that. And the topic is an off-chain data in this case.
Okay. So in the context of this case, is like off-chain would be an IPFS, like a separate chain itself. Okay.
Yeah. Any other question? Seems good. Let's go. So now the service part. So this is, of course, a really important one. Like I said before, you got all the workflow from service creation to proposal creation to then a proposal is accepted. And then all the work happen behind. So what is important here, maybe just go through different status. So by default, when you create a service, it's open. So that means that now the service is searching for talents. So you can query all the services that are open, of course. And any talent can come and make one proposal. So there is a constraint that a user can make only one proposal by service. This proposal can have like an expiration date. So you can say, I want this proposal it's valid only for 10 days, and I'm okay to work on that for this amount of this token, basically. And of course, you can give some more details with off-chain, with the about. But the idea also is to leverage also the messaging parts, where when you can, before I create a proposal for a service, you can first start chatting with the hire and see if it matches. And in this case, you can go further and create your proposal. So what is important for service is that it got some keywords. So that's really important for searchability, especially for interoperability. So if you want your service have a good visibility on other marketplace on all the network, it's important to use the good keywords. So show your user the good keywords too. And so when then a proposal is accepted is when the funds are sent into the escrow. So how it works is that the hire, to validate a proposal that issues, you need to send the amount that the two are agreed on. And so the money will stay in the escrow during the duration of the jobs. So the escrow is responsible first to keep this money in a very secure way, and then to allow the hire to release part of the money in several milestones, for example. So you can say generally that you give 30% at the beginning and then 70% at the end. And also it can give the possibility to a freelancer, if anything happened, to say, okay, I can't finish this job, I reimburse the 50% remaining. So you got these two main features just to release the money. How it works in the first basic workflow is that when all the money is released, it finished automatically the jobs, the service, and now the two people can review. So that's in the best case. In the other case where a dispute raised, there is all the dispute workflow that we can talk maybe later. Also, this contract is responsible to collect all the fees. So every time funds are released, a part of the fees are taken, and then you can come with your marketplace and say, I want to claim the fees I earned. Yep. And yeah, just the details on the reimburse. When a reimburse happen, we didn't take fees because we think it's not fair. Yeah, that's how it works today. So the main function to call when you want to interact with the escrow is the create transaction. And when you create a transaction, you say, I want to create a transaction for this service, this proposal, and then we get automatically the contract TalentLayer escrow contact the other TalentLayer service contract and get all the information in it from the proposal and everything. So all the address automatically. And then, like I said, when oh yeah, I got 2 times that. Yeah, there is the here I add the arbitration part. So we got our own arbitrator. So, but in case of a dispute, the own arbitrator is the one I was talking about a few minutes ago. So it's the one where you as marketplace, you have you can give a ruling. So if one of your clients as that, you can have a front end listing all the ruling. You can access the evidence that they provide, that each party provide, and you can then say, okay, I think this party got right, this one got right, or you can sell split in both. They both are right in a way. So the arbitrator is the first strategy. Of course, what we want on the long term is to decentralize this part and to add new dispute resolution strategy like Kleros. So we worked a lot with them, and so the way we built the protocol made it really interoperable with any others because we follow standards that were defined a few years ago by Kleros. And so, like I said, at the end, a review happens. So we made some rules to have a review to prevent some Sybil attacks. So the review only happen if a certain amount, a certain part of money of the escrow have been released. You can't have a review, for example, if you just reimburse everything to the hire. That will mean for us that there is no much job happen here, so there is no need for review. So yeah, there is some small condition like that, and of course the review is mutual. So each other they can review each other, and here in this contract. So the review is also an NFT that is linked directly to the identity of the user. So it's directly linked to the owner of the solvent NFT of one TalentLayer ID. And so you got two main information, which service was it, which rating do you made, and on off-chain you got, of course, like the content message that the user want to let. What is important also here on the graph part is that when an event is triggered with a new review, we are not only storing the rating, but we are also starting to make some calculation like that. If you want to have the average rating of a user, it's already calculated on the graph. So the API gives you directly the information. And we did that with also the gains made by the user and all the service. We have some statistic around each user. So that's also a very useful part on the graph, is that we have some custom script that made some statistic around all the data. And like that for you, it's you just have to query the graph and you got all the stats quickly. And if you want to do more advanced things, of course, there is two ways. Just ask us. Maybe we will think that it's useful for everyone and we will integrate it directly into the graph, or just you build an API on top of the graph, or what we call the middleware, and you can then do your own calculation. So this is it for the main core module of TalentLayer. Just wanted to be sure, again, if there is any question on that.
Yeah, I have a question about the calculation you mentioned. Like, you said there's gonna be a calculation of some statistics, right?
Yeah.
Like, can you like give some like examples like of like what those like statistics could be could look like?
Yeah, sure. I think we can see that, for example, here. So this is just for the context. So this is the graph page of TalentLayer. So here it's a playground, but you can also see all the tables we can say you got in the database, and then just play with it and query them. And so, for example, for a user, you can have his gain, and so you can have the total gain in one particular token. What we are working also, like I said, there is the average review that you can find somewhere. You got also some statistic for the platform itself. So like all the gains made by the platform, like that, we will generate like graph for you where you can see all your incomes and things like that. At the end, we can here aggregate any kind of data that we use, any kind of raw data, and make statistics. So we will have also directly for a user, for example, how much jobs did he completed, how much jobs goes in dispute, how much proposal did he made, and you can have that directly in the user entity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you get some need around statistic or something like that?
Sorry?
Do you get some particular need around statistic?
Yeah, we were thinking about like doing some statistics around like the jobs that a freelancer has completed. Yeah, we're still like trying to figure that out.
Yeah. Okay. If you have some ideas, please share with us, and we are also working to improving that part, like during the current sprint. So we are adding a tons of statistic on the user entity, especially.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for a question. Any others?
Okay, I'm sorry, but Emin and we need to go now.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah,
I think
my
that
pleasure.
you are going to record it.
Yeah, it's recorded, so you can continue it's anytime. And if you have any question, just contact me on Discord or by mail. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So we can get in touch on Discord. Okay, so thank you so much,
Yep.
Romain.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I'm sorry, but we need to go.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
no problem.
Okay,
Bye.
have fun, guys. Bye.
Bye. Okay, let's continue. So yeah, here is just to show what can you build with TalentLayer. Of course, we talk about marketplace, but there is opportunity also from what we call middleware or module, because marketplace each other will have several needs, and so it can make sense for someone to come and build something really interesting, like an AI matching engines or a KYC indexer, or some layer on top on the graph to calculate more statistic. And then you have the power to share that development with a whole network, and yeah, can be used for any marketplace. So the idea in the medium term for us is to create a marketplace where you can find all of these tools that are developed by everyone. It's kind of like a WordPress marketplace when you have all the module and plugins that you can install easily, basically. So now the idea is to just go a bit into the code of Indy. So you probably know we got a fully open source code where you can just come fork it and have a fully workable marketplace where you got all the steps of TalentLayer implemented. This code is written in React. We will, in the following days, migrate to Next.js, so still React, but like that we can have backend inside the same code. We got a lot of requests from that, so that will be even easier for anyone to just clone and then add his own backend logical on top of it. So the idea of this indifferent end is just you need 5 minutes to come, you clone it, you complete the .env basically, and then you just launch the server locally or even on their server, something like that, and you got your front end ready when you can have all the connection of the wallet, the minting of TalentLayer ID. Then the user got his dashboard and everything. You can find jobs, you can post jobs, you can find talent, and you got also the messaging part where that use XMTP protocol to allow anyone to talk each other. So now I wanted to go just on some example of code on Indy. And so I choose to use the documentation, which extracts some parts of the code to show how we can first interact with the blockchain for writing, and then we will see also the reading part through the graph. Of course, if you want to see any particular implementation of code, you can tell me. I don't know, Alex, about your technical style. Can you remind me? Just tell me if it's too technical or if I can go, technical. Yeah, just tell me.
Yeah, no, just you didn't. I can understand most of it. So yeah, just
Okay.
like I mainly came to see how like the demo code is implemented and how the TalentLayer contracts are used.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna see that now also for the minting part. So what I'm gonna show now is exactly this part. So actually this form here. So that doesn't count the connection of wallets. So I will just connect my wallet now. Okay. So it's this part. So the part, so when the user have to choose, and of course, this is the demo effect. So something weird happened. Oh. Okay, good. So here I validate the transaction on MetaMask, and you got all the workflow and the information for the user, so you can follow your transaction on Polyscan. So yeah, so here the transaction is still not included in the block. and then yeah, it's okay. So I'm now automatically connected. And so what we did here is that we write into the blockchain with minting a new profile, and then we read the information from the graph to get the handle of the user. So let's see how it works exactly on the cons side. So we first creating a form. So here we are using a lib called UP to have all the form validation schema, just to say, okay, you have to have a handle with minimum 2 letters and maximum 10. And you got an input field for the handle. So that's quite basic. And the most interesting part will go here. So when the user submits, yep, and the submit is here. So what is it finally just writing into the blockchain? Like I said, it's talking with one contract. Here is the TalentLayer ID contract. So everything is already set up on Indy. So you got some configuration where you define the address. You already got in the project all the ABI, and then you pass the senior, which is basically the user connected actually. So this creates a contract with the editor's JS library, and then you just have to say, with this contract, I want to call the function called mint, and this is the handle that the user wants, and this one is the platform ID that the user is actually minting. And that's pretty much it. At the end, of course, it's asynchronous, so you have to wait for it. We have also the code to display the little notification at the bottom, but basically the integration with the contract is only that part. Then what you need to do is to check now that the user is well into the indexer and to get his information. And to do that part is also finally pretty simple because it's just contacting the indexer using an Ajax API. And you can say, I want to get the user by address. So you get the address of the user with MetaMask. And then you say with the API, with the graph, I want the user where the address is this one. And so we can even have a demo on it directly on the playground. Just replace this with my address. And okay, I am in the Mumbai. I think that's good. Okay, what we're gonna do just to remove this condition just to see all the user. Okay. Okay, I'm well here. Oh, it's maybe okay because of lowercase. Yeah. Up. Yep. Yeah, so sorry for that. Just when you search for an address, it's stored only on lowercase, so you have to be careful with the condition. But basically, that's the request that we did on Indy. So, and we get every information then what we want about the user. So for now, I don't have a description, but you can imagine that then when the user completes the profile, you can have the title, his name, his about, can get even the skills he defines, and then you can have all the services he made, for example, and you can have the status of the services you made, etc., etc. You can have also all the reviews that you got. And for the reviews, you want to see the rating, you want to see the description, so the content that was posted for him. And basically, thanks to the graph, you can query and have any of the data in only one query. And so like that, it's way more performance. And you can also, for Lease query, just a bunch of small data. And when you go on the profile, you get everything. So yeah, but let you really leverage the power of all the graph endpoints here. And I think that's all for just a quick demo on how you can write and read. How do you feel about it? Does it feel clear? Do you have any question?
Yeah, one quick question. Can you go back to the code where you do the, like at the end where you do the query of the graph?
Yeah.
Address.
You want to see
Okay,
this function?
okay. I see, okay. Okay, yeah. All good.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we create the query objects, and then we call process request, with basically behind it is just Axios and here. So we're using posts, and you pass your query, and yeah, that's just it. Then, so around that, you have, of course, to add all the React code that you need to call that and put that on your state. That's only React, classic React code.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool. So yeah, before going further, I got several options. If you want, I can go further on any things that you got here, any code you got here, like posting a job or anything like that. Or then I can also continue and talk about other features that you can have within Indy and globally in the protocol. Do you have any preference?
Yeah, if you can quickly just go through the code for like posting a job, that would be great.
Yeah, cool. Let's do that. So I will do it from the GitHub repository. So I will searching for the page. So it's the create service page. So it's basically this one. So I just need to XMTP the first time, just only the first time ever you go on the platform. So the posting of a job is basically this formula. So we ask for a title and about, some keywords to be searchable, and then what is your budget? And so it's this page. The more interesting part is on the service form. So I will go here. So basically, it's the same idea that the minting. So you got a schema for your formula. The formula is at the end on the render part. So you get the different field, the error management, of course. And then you got a non-submit function. So this function is called when the user submits. What we do, but we didn't do in the minting here is the posting to IPFS. So we are getting all the information. Sometimes we need to do some formatting before sending to IPFS, but then the most interesting part is here. So we got an utils function that can help you just to post any content on IPFS using an API that you can configure in your own file. And what it does, it just creates a JSON from all the value in the formula that the user asked for and post it to IPFS. At the end, IPFS sends us back an identifier, which is the identifier of the the file. And then, so we will talk about signature after. We have the same similar code that the TalentLayer ID. So, but rather than here, we are contacting the service contract. So we say, I want this contract address. The ABI is also already configured. And here we are calling the create service function. And so you are telling, I want to create a service for this user. The service is originated by my platform. So you give your ID here and you give the ID of the off-chain data and the signature that we're gonna see after. And that's basically it. Then yeah, it's asynchronous, and we have the post thing that gives the progress of the user. I just can show you here quickly. And here you can have your train solidity, and you can say you have one matic budget. And so behind the scene here is contacting first IPFS, and then, so I got the MetaMask. And so this is the multi-step model that we developed, where you can see the progress first on chain and then off-chain sync data. And so normally, if we go back then here, we will see that this user that we created got a new service. So this is V1, is open. Yep, everything is right now. And so we can read the title of these jobs. We can have also the rate amount, rate token, its description or about. Yep. So you can just also here control space, and you got every fields available. So for example, the keywords I ask. And this is it. I get my user and this new jobs that was just created. So all has been indexed by the graph yet. And so yeah, the things are finished, and then the user is redirected to the page of the job, and now is waiting for a proposal. So just with this code, this is all that happened behind the scene. Yeah. Is it
Okay.
clear for you?
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Thanks.
Cool. Perfect. I think we can move on now and just talk about some extra features that we got also that can be really useful. So first one is push protocol integration. So what that means with push is that your user potentially can subscribe to push to a channel of your marketplace. And like that, every time a service is created, a proposal is put, he can receive a push on his navigator or even on his phone. So that's quite interesting. We already talked about it, but there is all the Web3 messaging that is integrating also into Indy. We got a delegation system. So what that's mean here, the idea behind it is to improve the user experience using the platform. So to limit the number of transactions the user need to see, it can delegate you, the platform, the right to execute some stuff on his behavior. Of course, it's like less important, less critical things. So it will not be like send money and stuff like that. But for example, edit a profile of a user. Today, when you edit a profile, you have to do a transaction. But what you can do with delegate, it's just do the transaction from your backend, and like that for the user, the front end is optimistic and it's instant, and it doesn't have to pay any fees for it, of course. Fee scoring is kind of complementary, but it's another way to implement fee scoring. This one using meta transaction, so it's a bit more complex, but still something it's the contract are compatible with, so quite interesting if you want to do it. Also, we worked on zero knowledge proof of work, so proof of work on TalentLayer. With that, the interesting thing is that a user can have several profiles on TalentLayer. For example, his public profile and some unknown profile, and it can prove without revealing his identity that he works for a certain company. He can prove that from his public profile that he works for that he got experience with other profile on Solidity, for example. So that's quite interesting, and that's come also with like a gamification with badges that the user can win with time, like having a badge when you get 5-star review 5 times. You can have badges also monthly when you are the top freelancer on a certain topic. So everything of that is developed. It's building with Seismo behind it. And the Seismo data provider of TalentLayer is already on mainnet, so anyone can come and create his own badge, his own proof of work, basically. And then the last extra feature is about signature mechanisms. So I got a small schema here. The idea, more of the problem that you can have is that to post a service like we see, you need to give a platform ID. So anyone can come and call the contract directly and use your platform ID. That could be an issue or not, depending on how you can then filtering this kind of jobs from your front end. But still, we give you a way, but it's not mandatory, to add an extra step when you post a service, which is signature. Like that, the user need to have your approval before he can actually post and say this service come from your platform. And so this is the little mechanisms. It requires just a few code on the backend, and we already have all the code ready to be forked and all the code implemented on Indy. So yeah, just in case you're interested with that kind of feature, contact us and we can go, I think, way further. Just any question on these features that we got?
Yeah, so for the zero knowledge proof, like we are also like thinking like proving like the work history of a freelancer, for example. Like, do you think like that could apply to that kind of use case?
Yeah, so yeah, that could work. So what you can do at the end is to prove any data that are stored in TalentLayer in the graph without revealing potentially your profiling to it. So without revealing all the details behind it. So the possibilities there are a lot of possibilities at the end with just that features. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
And just to give you some key points on the roadmap, we're gonna work on some private profile data permissioning. That means that for now, all the data off-chain are public. Sometimes it can make sense for some marketplace or some fields to have it private, like some information around the jobs or around the profile. So we're gonna implement this on the protocol level. Then a referral system for a job. So yeah, pretty clear here. Some content moderation tools. So here is to help the marketplace to moderate the content, or also to give incentive for the user of marketplace to help on the moderation. So we got several mechanisms in mind here, and We are inspired with Clever's curation tools, but we probably gonna use also. Then an important and really cool point will be the account abstraction. So a new EIP was launched a few weeks ago. So we're gonna do a lot of research around it and just try to make it simple for marketplace to integrate, have it in the front end optionally, and yeah. Also pay in fiat. So the idea is to have an easy off-ramp, on-ramp implement also on the marketplace level, like that you can use Euro, for example, if we implement Monerium. And last point, as repetition is everything, especially in the beginning, to gain trust between a buyer, an hire, and a worker, we want to integrate as much as extra data we can. And so we are in talk with GitCon Passport, Disco, and others to bring all that data on the profile page, if the user want, of course, like we did, for example, with Lens. And that's pretty much it for it. Do you got any question on just the roadmap or on anything?
So yeah, so like I guess I'm just like gonna go back and look through the indie demo code, because like I feel like our like the structure of our code is kind of similar to your like the demo code. So yeah, I'm just gonna look through that, and if I have any other questions, like I'll just let you know. But thanks a lot.
Yeah, my pleasure. Cool. Just thank you. Yeah, if you want to reach me, just you have my Discord, but also I'm available on email. Also, that was the first online workshop what we did. So if you have some feedbacks, please send it to me. And if you have some needs of particular workshop of maybe particular feature that we go too quick here, please feel free to, we're gonna continue to organize this kind of workshop. Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
that's it. Thank you again. Thank you for everyone who is listening that in replay. And yeah, see you later.